There are moments when you feel unhappy for no clear reason, no crisis, no heartbreak, no dramatic change, just a quiet heaviness that sits in your chest as if something is silently draining your joy. Most people blame fate, luck, or circumstances, but Buddhist wisdom points to something far more subtle: your own hidden habits, tiny patterns you repeat every day, soft thoughts that slip through your mind unnoticed, reflexes you learned long ago but never questioned. These habits don't shout, they whisper. They don't break your life in one moment, they slowly bend it out of shape. You may think you're simply tired or unmotivated, but beneath the surface, these habits are quietly stealing your peace one breath at a time. Today, we'll uncover 5 of them, 5 invisible patterns that hold you back from the calm, bright life you deserve. Let's begin. Habit number 1: overthinking events that already passed. One of the most common habits that quietly ruins your happiness is overthinking things that have already happened. A conversation from last week, a mistake from last month, a decision from years ago. Your mind replays the moment again and again, as if rewriting the past could somehow change it. But the past is already closed. Only your mind is still living there. Buddhist wisdom describes this with the teaching of the second arrow. The first arrow is the event itself, the mistake, the conflict, the disappointment. It hurts, but it's temporary. The second arrow is the one you fire at yourself afterward. The overthinking, the rumination, the endless self-criticism. This arrow causes deeper suffering than the first. You cannot always stop the first arrow. Life happens. But the second arrow is optional. Overthinking feels helpful because it masquerades as problem solving. Your mind says, if I analyze this more, I'll understand. If I replay it, I'll feel better. If I find the why, I can protect myself. But rumination doesn't protect you, it traps you. It takes one moment of pain and stretches it into days or weeks of quiet suffering. It keeps your heart stuck in a place your body has already left. You become tired not because the past is heavy, but because you are carrying it every day. The Buddha taught that the mind can either be a garden or a battlefield. Overthinking turns it into the latter. It pulls you away from the present, away from your breath, away from the life you are actually living now. What happened is finished. The lesson has already been delivered. What remains is your choice to relive it or release it. True peace begins the moment you stop asking the past to give you something it cannot give. Let the event be one arrow, not 2. Let the mind soften. Let the moment go. Habit number 2: saying yes when your heart says no. There is a special kind of exhaustion that comes from betraying yourself, not from physical work, not from emotional struggle, but from the simple act of saying yes when every part of you quietly whispers no. This habit is common, almost universal. You agree to help when you're already overwhelmed. You pretend to be fine when you're breaking inside. You smile and nod even when your heart feels heavy. Why? Because you don't want to disappoint anyone. Because you fear conflict, rejection, judgment. Because being liked feels safer than being honest. But Buddhist wisdom teaches that people-pleasing is not kindness. It is a slow form of self-abandonment. Every time you ignore your own needs to make others comfortable, you slowly disconnect from yourself. You begin to forget what you truly want, who you truly are, and what your own boundaries feel like. Boundaries are not walls. They are acts of compassion. Compassion for your energy, your time, your peace, your inner life. A boundary says, I care about you, but I also care about me. Without boundaries, even love becomes heavy. The Buddha taught that suffering often arises not from what others demand, but from what we allow. When you always say yes, people learn to expect it. Your silence becomes permission, your compliance becomes a pattern, and slowly, you lose yourself under the weight of everyone else's expectations. Approval seeking feels like connection, but it is actually fear. A a fear of not being enough unless everyone approves of you. But the truth is simple. When you say yes to everything, you say no to yourself. Happiness grows when you choose honesty over approval, when you pause before responding, when you ask your heart what it wants instead of letting fear answer for you. You were not born to please the world. You were born to live your truth gently and courageously. When you begin to honor your inner no, something beautiful happens. Your relationships become more real. Your mind becomes lighter, and your life becomes yours again. Habit number 3, carrying other people's emotions as your own. Some people walk through life like emotional sponges. A friend is anxious and suddenly your chest tightens. A coworker is frustrated and your mood falls. Someone you love is upset and the weight settles on your shoulders as if it belonged to you. At first, this seems like empathy, but what you're actually practicing is emotional absorption, and it quietly destroys your inner balance. Buddhist wisdom teaches a gentle truth. You can care deeply for others without becoming them. You can listen without absorbing. You can support without sinking. You can walk beside someone without carrying their storm inside your own heart. The habit of taking on others' emotions often forms in childhood. Maybe you learned to be the strong one, the fixer, the peacemaker. Maybe you felt responsible for keeping everyone happy. But adulthood requires a different path, a path of non-identification. Non-identification means remembering their fear is not your fear, their anger is not your anger, their sadness is not your life. You can witness emotions without letting them define you, just as you can watch clouds move across the sky without believing they are part of your own body. When you carry emotions that are not yours, you lose clarity, your mind becomes crowded, your heart becomes tired, and you begin reacting to the world through feelings that never belonged to you in the first place. Buddhist teaching encourages a soft detachment, not coldness, not indifference, but spaciousness, a gentle separation between what is yours to hold and what must be allowed to pass. Imagine holding a lantern. You can offer its light to others, but you do not set yourself on fire for their darkness. This is the essence of healthy compassion. You can care without carrying. Let this be your mantra. When you stop absorbing everyone else's emotions, something profound happens. Your presence becomes stronger, your support becomes wiser, and your happiness begins to return. You were never meant to hold every storm. Your heart deserves clear skies too. Habit number 4, rushing through your days without being present. There is a kind of unhappiness that doesn't come from tragedy or loss. It comes from speed. You wake up and your mind is already racing. You eat while checking your phone. You walk while thinking about tomorrow. You listen while planning your reply. You go through entire days without ever actually being in them. Modern life tells you that busyness equals importance. If your schedule is full, if your calendar is packed, if you are always rushing, then you must be living a meaningful life. But this is a beautiful lie. Busyness gives you the illusion of importance, but it quietly disconnects you from joy. You move faster, yet feel emptier. You accomplish more, yet feel less alive. The moments blur together until your life feels like a fast-forwarded movie you barely remember watching. Buddhist wisdom teaches that speed is not the problem, unconsciousness is. Life doesn't ask you to move slowly. It asks you to be here for what you're doing. Presence adds color back into your days. Think of the way a child looks at a leaf, or listens to a story, or feels the warmth of sunlight. They don't rush. They don't multitask. They give their entire being to the moment in front of them, and that is why their small joys feel so big. When you rush, you step out of your own life. Your body is here, but your mind is somewhere else, in the past, in the future, in your worries, in your plans. You can walk for miles without noticing the sky. You can eat meals without tasting them. You can talk to people without ever truly hearing them. Mindfulness brings life back into color. It softens the edges, slows the breathing, and reminds you that this moment, not the next one, is where your real life happens. Happiness is not hidden in your future accomplishments. It's in the sip of water, the sound of your footsteps, the feeling of your breath rising and falling. You deserve a life you can actually feel, not just one you rush through. Habit number 5, speaking harshly to yourself. There is a voice inside you that no one else can hear, a voice that comments on everything you do, everything you feel, everything you hope to become. For many people, this voice is not a guide, but a critic. It tells you you're not doing enough. It points out every flaw. It rewinds your mistakes and plays them on a loop. It whispers judgments you would never dare say to another person. Over time, this harsh inner voice becomes so familiar that you start to believe it. You mistake it for truth. You mistake it for your identity. But Buddhist wisdom reminds us, what you think, you become. Your inner dialogue shapes your self-image, your confidence, your emotional world. When the mind is fed with criticism, the heart begins to shrink. You walk with doubt. You breathe with tension. You treat yourself like an enemy instead of a companion. Harsh self-talk pretends to help you improve, but in reality, it creates fear, not growth. You avoid new opportunities because you think you'll fail. You hide your talents because you think they're not good enough. You settle for less because you think you don't deserve more. But here is the truth. No one blooms under judgment. People grow under warmth. Gentle self-talk is not weakness. It is wisdom. It rewires the mind toward clarity, compassion, and possibility. It sounds like, I am learning. I made a mistake, but I can grow from it. I deserve patience, even from myself. I can begin again. When you speak kindly to yourself, your nervous system relaxes. Your mind becomes steady. Your confidence returns. The inner world softens and the outer world begins to feel less threatening. Think of your mind as a garden. Every harsh thought is a weed. Every gentle thought is a seed. What you water will grow. You deserve to be spoken to with the same kindness you offer others. You deserve a voice inside you that supports your becoming, not one that sabotages it. Happiness begins when self-criticism ends, and a softer, truer life begins when you finally talk to yourself like someone worth caring for. When you step back and look at your life, you may realize something powerful. You have been trying to earn happiness through pressure, through overthinking, through perfection, through pleasing, through carrying burdens that were never yours, through pushing yourself faster and harder than your heart can manage. But happiness does not arrive through tension. It grows in the space created by awareness. These habits don't dissolve overnight. They soften slowly, gently, the moment you begin to notice them. Awareness is the first breath of freedom. With each moment of clarity, your life becomes lighter, your mind becomes kinder, your days become more your own. You deserve a softer life, one where your heart is not always bracing, where your mind is not always fighting, where your spirit is allowed to simply be. If this video brought you calm or clarity, consider subscribing. Here, you'll find more Buddhist wisdom, gentle stories, and reflections to guide you toward a life that feels peaceful, steady, and true. Let this be the beginning of a softer chapter in your journey.